Well, we're now going to move to what one might describe as something entirely different. And Caroline is with us this morning, Caroline Jones, who sadly, following the death of her mum from breast cancer, made a resolution, nevertheless, in memory of her mum, and that was to spend a year, and this was from last year, beginning of last year, wearing a different outfit every day, with all the garments sourced exclusively from the charity shops of Cancer Research UK. So I think without more ado, let's hear the story. It sounds absolutely brilliant. Caroline Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. And I'd just like to say some thank yous. Firstly, David for introducing me, and to Elizabeth for inviting me, the glue at the back. And David, I'm sure we'll look forward to spending time. I know I'm speaking at your conference in June. It is in my diary, I just checked. But, you know, I really do want to say, on a personal note, thank you for inviting me, because this is the first time I've connected with the hospice community, who serve on a voluntary basis as well, such an important part of community life. And you know, on a personal level, it was very important for my mum's end-of-life experience to have, you know, to have the hospice on standby. It was incredible. So I'm here really with several hats on, actually, all pre-loved. I'm here as a volunteer. I volunteer and still do, and it's still my number one job. It's the thing I absolutely love. I'm a volunteer at Cancer Research in Harpenden in Hertfordshire, and I've been doing that for 3 years, and that was sort of while my mum was having her chemotherapy, and then after she died, I decided that's where I wanted to stay. I felt very connected to that charity and to that environment, the shop. I got my hands on the shop window very quickly because, frankly, working on the till scared the life out of me. I couldn't remember my code. I was charging people the wrong figures, and I persuaded the shop manager, Anne, that actually I should be doing the mannequins. It was much better, more my thing. So I got my hands on the mannequins and I started dressing the windows. And I don't have a styling background, but it was just something that I absolutely love to do. And I'll come on to that in a bit more detail. But my other hat is obviously that I am a daughter who lost my mum, and I really wanted to speak to you as a community because I think you are an amazing forum, and you know, you have 25% of the market, which I think is incredible. 2,500 shops. I need to get myself into your shops, frankly. And finally, I'm 47. I'm a mum. I'm busy, but I'm very proud actually of where I am in my life. I feel very empowered. I have the opportunity to speak at conferences now. A year and a half ago, I was doing none of this, so this is all very new to me. I'm not a public speaker, and forgive me if I say something wrong. The main thing, though, for me is that I was able to fuse my grief with fashion. And you wouldn't really think those two things go along. It's not very, you wouldn't link those two things naturally. But for me, it was something that came very easy to me. I wanted to do something. So just before I start, I'd like to tell people that I am actually wearing pre-loved. Everything I'm wearing today is charity clothes, apart from my knickers. And I'm going to say knickers quite a lot, and if you're not familiar with my campaign, it'll become clear in a moment, but my pants are always my own. The other good piece of news is I don't have any slides. You'll see behind me is my Facebook page. If you're familiar with my campaign, I was posting every single day, so what you're seeing are some of the images of my campaign. And I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to open the floor up, and you can ask me whatever you want. I will do my best to answer. A little bit about me to start with. I'm married and I've got 3 children, 8, 10 and 12. They keep me very busy. I run my home, obviously, and in addition to that, I volunteer, as I said, at Cancer Research in Harpenden. I'm also a TV shopping presenter, and I do that freelance. So I'm familiar with talking, but not in front of eyes. Normally there's 3 cameras in front of me, and I'm in much more comfortable environment. Not that you're making me feel uncomfortable at all. I'm alienating the audience already, David. I also run, another thing I do, which is a bit random, but I run a pop-up disco in Harpenden. So I'm I suppose I class myself as an entrepreneur. I'm somebody that just wants to get out and do things. I've worked in the commercial world. I worked in a marketing and business communications environment. And now I feel empowered to do really what I want to do. And I feel I'm really energized by where my campaign has led me. So I'm what probably you would call a juggler, like most women. I'm juggling all the time. And that's probably where I'm, most comfortable. So if we go on to my Knickers campaign, Knickers Model Zone started on the 31st of December 2014 when I was on my own on New Year's Eve, and it was the first New Year's Eve without my mum, and I was sort of very flat. I'd had an awful Christmas, as you can imagine. And I just thought, I can't carry on like this. I can't be sad all the time. And my mum was a huge part of my life, and I wanted to sort of praise her life and be happy. And I decided that actually probably what I should be doing is doing something connected with the charity. So I decided to, I sat there on my own, I'm just sort of pacing up and down. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something like, why don't I wear charity clothes every single day of the year? That can't be hard. I work in a charity shop. I'll just go and borrow a few things, style it up. I've always worn pre-loved, so that seemed quite normal to me. I didn't want to run a marathon. I didn't want to sweat. I didn't want to get red. I wanted an easy option, really. And so I decided to call my campaign Knickers Model Zone, because when you're flicking through magazines and fashion magazines, often, David Beckham will be wearing an Armani suit, but his watch would be his own, or his shoes. And I thought that's what I'll call it. That seems quite so easy. And I was a little bit unsure about knickers. Again, I'm throwing that word in there. But knickers is it's quite a cheeky word, but it's also quite eye-catching. So it sort of stops you. And did she say knickers? Yes, she did. So before I knew it, I'd Googled knickersmodelzone.com. No, nobody had got that, and I secured that. And I set up a Facebook page, and I set up a Just Giving page. So before midnight, on my own, I was just tapping away, and I'd written my Just Giving page, and I thought, well, all I'm doing is hoping to raise £1,000. That was really my aim. And I honestly only thought that my 12 friends would look at this every single day and giggle and sort of point their fingers at me and think, what's she doing today? And so that the next morning I woke up and I'd got my outfit ready and I put it on, and a friend photographed me, and that was all very easy. And I did the next one the next day, and bearing in mind that it was school holidays, so I had my children around who were very familiar with an iPhone, and they were taking my pictures. The problem came on, day 4 when school went back, and I was suddenly without a photographer, and the penny dropped big time that I hadn't really thought this through, because I needed to have a photographer, a regular supply of outfits. Weather was a big issue because I had to take pictures outside, as you can see. So all these factors, and I really was feeling, oh my goodness, what have I done? And it got worse that week. It wasn't a great start to my campaign, because by day 6, the BBC contacted me about my campaign, and I'd only got 6 pictures. And I said, I haven't actually got a campaign. And she said, no, you have. You've shaped something here. And she had to tell me what it was. I hadn't really stopped to think what I had created. And what I had created was this new, innovative idea, which, again, I didn't think it was new or innovative, but it was. And it was talking to different communities. It was talking to people who are touched by cancer. It was talking to people who are having a coffee and just want to have a fashion fix. It was talking to the slow fashion movement. You'll hear that terminology. And it was also talking to people who love wearing, who are just interested in style. They just want to look at a 47-year-old woman styling stuff up. And none of that had really factored into what I was doing on a daily basis. So the next morning I woke up and my Facebook page was on the BBC UK homepage. And then I started getting a little bit nervous, a bit of palpitations actually, physical palpitations and tingling and Not helped by the Daily Mail online then ringing me and interviewing me. Now they get 12 million individual hits a day, massive, massive audience, very powerful. Whatever you think of that journalism, very influential. And by the end of the week, so by the end of my 7 days, I'd had 97,000 visits to my Facebook page. Okay, so that was where it all started. So there was no slow burn, it was immediate. And when we talk about my audience, and we're talking about this, actually your audience, you know, where's your community? My community, my audience, went from being very local, my 12 friends, to being national, and it then moved to being international. Without me even moving out of my house, there was an international audience aware of what I was doing. And so I was on my own. I felt overwhelmed, actually, in this immediate week. And luckily, I made contact with Cancer Research UK and sort of said, I think we probably need to speak. You're probably going to get some press. And they got their press team to support me, and also their social media team to support me. So very quickly, they said to me, look, just go into any shop of ours and take whatever you want, and that's fine. So that's very good. So I now just go in and sort of take stuff, and they've been really cooperative. So I just sort of, that was the beginning of my year. Now I was doing this 365 days of the year, so there wasn't a down day, I didn't have a duvet day, I didn't cheat, I didn't have a stylist, as some people suggested quite early on. She's got a stylist. I don't, this is it. And also, you know, I'm doing all my other jobs. I had a busy life, and I added to it. As lots of people pointed out in my family very early on, you started this, you've got to see it through. And the sensations I had were very physical, because very early on, the donations started coming in just through my Just Giving page. And people came with me on the journey, this journey that I had all year. And you can see, actually, as I go through my year, how I physically changed and became more sort of confident in front of the camera. But if you go back to my very early pictures, and we can do that in a minute, honestly, I'm like this, just smiling, like I had no idea about camera work or everything. But every day I took my picture, I was so proud to be wearing and showing women that pre-love fashion, you can pull it out the bag, you can play around with looks, you can keep your budget really low. And actually the fashion industry, and this is what I've learned subsequently, the fashion industry want you to keep buying. They want you, that's how they keep going. They want you to go in with your 14-year-old daughter and keep buying, rotating your wardrobe, because that's how they make their money. What I've learned about my own journey is that I don't need to do that. I can say no to things, and I prefer now, and I'm yet to buy anything new, actually. I still haven't bought anything new. I still love wearing pre-loved, because I look individual and I have that individual take on things. I don't want to be told how to dress and how to style. I like to take elements, but I like to make it my look. So you'll see through here, Facebook was really, really important. I have over 10,000 followers on Facebook, and this community that follow me here have been incredibly loyal. They're messaging me every day, redonating. Often have donors that will say, oh, I donated a last paycheck, I'm going to donate again. And I was overwhelmed by that, actually, that people would take the time to donate who didn't know me personally or didn't even live in the UK. And I think that was a really strong message, that people were willing to give money to a UK charity and not benefit from them. So again, that was a really surprising point. I'm sort of slightly, let me just go back to my notes. Knickers Model Zone became this brand, whether I liked it or not. So I had a hashtag. We'll be talking a bit more about hashtags. I'm really into my social media, and I think it's vital. If you're going to take anything away from my session, write down social media. You must engage with your audience, and you can't hide from it. And my reach, how I reach out to people, was through sitting at home on my computer or on my phone. And so I have a Facebook page, as you can see here, but I also post on Twitter and I post on Instagram. So 3 audiences, actually very different communities, Facebook I would describe as the coffee morning, having a coffee break, tuning into me. Really lovely social environment, not brands at all, just, you know, sort of catching up with loose women, having a coffee, seeing what I'm wearing. And I would probably tune into myself, because I actually think it's quite a nice thing to see every day. It was a little lift. It was about me giving you something. And again, that's another message I want to get across here, is that fundraising, successful fundraising, I think, is about being different. And I think where I scored with my community is that I gave them something, and in return they gave me comments, they gave me donations. And so it's important that it does become a two-way sort of relationship. Twitter is really where I come from. I come from the Twitter world in my real life. I love Twitter. I think it's a fantastic way of reaching out to audiences, to people, to brands that you probably couldn't touch in any other way. You'll get a far quicker reaction from M&S than you would if you bothered to write them a letter. And my campaign, and not because I pushed it to any brands, was picked up by the brands really quickly. So I have M&S following me, Next, Bowden, Aquascutum, Jaeger. You know, if you can think of a brand, they will probably know about my campaign. They either follow me or they retweet. They're interested. They're not reluctant to recognise I'm wearing their second-hand rejected pieces. They actually quite like that. You know, in fact, I'm wearing Zara shoes today, Toast trousers, you know, bits of jewellery. They like that. They get traffic, they get noise, and all noise is good. Social media is all about generating noise. So Twitter for me is really important, and you've got to sort of juggle these social media platforms. And also Instagram, which is quite new to me. And my elder daughter, who's 12, told me, "You've got to get on Instagram." I was going, yeah, I know that. What the hell is Instagram? And I was trying to log on my Apple, on my Mac, and she was going, "No, you do it on your phone." So I had to give a quick lesson on what Instagram was. But Instagram is very visual, if anybody has an Instagram account. And it's about, for me, with my campaign, it was about connecting with this visual audience, stylists, bloggers, influencers. So a lot of bloggers follow me. A lot of brands follow me as well, but brands that really get social media. So my challenge to the charity sector is you just need to get on with it. Just get on with it. Really, you know, this generation now and the future generation is all about instant social media, on your phone, scrolling. You have to make a noise. So my campaign, I think, reached out through these three very different routes, and it was something I had to do every single day, and responding as well. So if on a good day, I might reach out to, particularly on Facebook, my campaign might be seen, my picture might have been seen by, on an average day, 10,000 people. On a good day, and a really, really strong day, for example, I was in the Sunday Telegraph a few weeks ago, and that was seen by 57,000 people on Facebook on one day. So the traffic was enormous. And so, you know, you've got to be ready for that. You can't just leave it. You have to react to it. So you have to respond. Twitter's the same as well. You know, it's whenever a brand or somebody that's got strong following, if they comment or they retweet, you have to be active, and you have to be aware that David Hay, the boxer, is following me. I had to look him up, but he's got over a million Twitter followers, so he's somebody that I need to connect with. I have no idea why he's following me, but it's quite interesting. So I've told you about who I think my audience are, and you know, I do think that engaging on social media platforms is so important to whatever you're doing. And I think for you, I'll come on to my sort of takes on the charity sector, the charity shops, in a moment. But my year ended on the 31st of December. I dropped down in a heap. And, I'd been on holiday for 2 weeks and took all my wardrobe with me. I'd had highs and lows through the year, lots of tears behind the camera. The camera does lie because smiling pictures didn't really represent what was going on in my private life. And as much as, this was all lovely and it was smiley in fashion, actually I was grieving at the same time. So it was I was living sort of parallel lives quite often. And the media, they can chew you up and spit you out. So it's having to learn on the hop, really, how to handle press. I had never had any press training. So they can be quite intrusive. So it was learning to get your message out, to be clear, and also, hold back a bit as well. I didn't want to tell them everything. And they often wanted, have you got any extra pictures of your mum? No, I haven't actually. And I found that quite hard as somebody that didn't come from that background at all. That's quite an interesting point. I learnt a lot about myself. I learnt a lot about body image. I learnt a lot about the fact that it's so much easier to be nice to each other, to make nice comments. Women generally are quite hard on other women, and we dress, I think, for women rather than for men. And it was lovely to be in an environment, particularly on Facebook, where I would get these warm, encouraging messages. And that engagement for a year, honestly, that just kept me going every single day. There'll be some really fantastic messages out there. So if any of you happen to have followed my campaign and messaged me, I'm very grateful. It also told me, just finally, that, being 47, I feel like I've suddenly got the world ahead of me. I don't feel like I'm at the end of my career or fashion isn't relevant. And I do feel like I want to talk about that story more for women, that actually we don't all have to look like Kim Kardashian. We're all different shapes and sizes, but you can look great in pre-love fashion if you get the sort of tools right. So that's another presentation I can talk about all together. I'm just going to very quickly, and I'll move on to my other bit of the talk in a moment, but I'll just name drop for a moment, if I may. I was on Loose Women. I've been on The One Show. My campaign has been written about in The Guardian twice. I've been in the Sunday Telegraph, The Independent, The Mirror, The Metro, Daily Mail Online. At no point have I had to go to them. They have taken this story and they found it and they've come to me, which is not very normal, really, is it? You normally have to go and push your story at the press and the media and have to justify your story. So there obviously was something that appealed to them, and I think the name, and I think the fact that I was doing it, and the fact that it reached out to these different audiences. I've done radio. What else have I done? Been on ITV News. Shall we talk about the money for a moment? I keep forgetting to talk about that. I wasn't really money driven at all. I thought my 12 friends might give me £10 each, and that would be that. But I did set myself a rather giddy target at the beginning of the year of £1,000 on Just Giving, and I thought, well, not really. That's just a bit of who the heck's going to give me any money for getting dressed every day? But anyway, by the end of the first month, I'd smashed the £1,000, and then it went up to 5,000, and then I reached 10,000. And I presented a cheque to the Cancer Research UK Institute at Cambridge, which was a lovely day, and I met the scientists, and that really gave me the sort of drive to carry on. And I do think it's important that you reach out to your volunteers. I don't know whether you do that, whether you have a separate volunteer forum and conference, but I do know that Cancer Research UK does that, and I think it's really important that you reach out to your volunteers and thank them. Then my target, I changed my target to 36,500, which was 365 days. And I thought, that's never going to be reached. That's just way off. I'd reached that by the 1st of December. And then by the end of the year, I've reached, including gift aid, 57,000. On the final day, 31st of December, my email, because I'd get an email every time a donation came through, my email was physically just moving, and it was incredible. And I also received a letter from the Prime Minister, which was bizarre. The postman was going, it says Downing Street. I know, just give it to me. And so that was incredible. I was given a Points of Light Award, which recognises outstanding volunteers. I think there's going to be a function in a few months, so that's incredible. I also won Just Giving Creative Fundraiser of the Year. I was so nervous at that evening because I'd never won anything. I've done my bronze, silver and gold at swimming, but beyond that, that was it. And also Superman, Henry Cavill, was on the table next to me, so it was just it was very nerve-wracking, and I was hugely honoured to receive that award. And Cancer Research UK have also presented me with a Pioneer of the Year, highly commended award. So my table at home is heaving under these wonderful awards, and who'd have thought it a year ago? I'll stop rambling because I know that it's not all about me today. I've got other things you want to go and do. But my year, finally this year, 2016, somebody suggested I should write a book. So I started writing a book and realised that actually that was almost as hard as the campaign itself because it was very intense, and I had a deadline to reach because Cancer Research UK have funded the book, self-funded the book, and Knickers Model's Own, A Year of Frugal Fashion, is going to print next week and will be on sale on the 25th of May, and all the proceeds are going to the charity. And it captures my year of fashion, it captures my story. I was very, very lucky to be photographed by Rankin, who's a portrait photographer, and the fashion designer Henry Holland has written my foreword. So it's just an incredible end, full stop to my year, and I'm very proud of it. I'm sure my mum would be very proud of this year. So that's my story, and I want to take your conference theme of Beyond Traditions because I think probably you want to know what my take is on charity shopping. I'm probably one of the most regular visitors to the charity shop world because of what I was doing last year. On average, I visit a charity shop at least once a day. I'm often in a charity shop twice a day or 3 times a day. I will be going to Solihull after this morning and having a look around. I am addicted to charity shopping, and to me, they're little gold mines. I am at my happiest when I'm rummaging through. But I don't like to use that word rummaging because the connotation is then that it's just a dumping ground. And I think great charity shops are wonderful environments, great sort of boutique feel, and that's the environment that I like to shop in. I think what you have as local hospices over the national, the 4 big ones, is that you are very, very local. And I know that when we have a hospice on our high street, it gets most of the donations. So you're very lucky in that respect. You don't have this big engine behind you, do you? Which, you can do what you like. You can change things really quickly. You don't have brand guidelines to follow and courses you have to go on. I don't think you do. I would avoid those if you can. So I would say use your size to your advantage. You can be more niche, you can be more different, you can be more radical actually, and think about using your shop window that Robin mentioned as really your shop window. It does drive traffic. If your shop window looks jaded and if you've got wicker baskets and rocking horses and a man's suit, I'm not probably going to be inspired to go in your shop. But if you have a theme, if you have a fashion theme, or maybe you're inspired by an upcoming event, Wimbledon, Ascot, whatever it is, think like that. And also find somebody in your shop environment who is really into social media. You will find that person. They're generally under 25 and they know what they're doing, and get them going. Give them access to Wi-Fi, which is another stumbling block. Do all your shops have Wi-Fi in them? Probably not. But, do as much as you can on social media. The other thing I would suggest you do is tap into forums. In Harpenden, where I live, there are a plethora of forums, online forums. So Harpenden Mums, Harpenden Dads, Harpenden Teens, Harpenden this, that and the other. That's how people live nowadays. They are online all the time. So if you want to connect with your community, a poster in your shop is not going to cut it. You need to be looking online. You need to be multi-channeling all the time. And consider your route to market. I know we talk about shops, the physical shop, but actually your route to market can be in very different ways. It can be on an eBay site. You could group up and have an eBay forum. Oxfam are very, very good at their Oxfam online fashion. You know, why don't you put a fashion show on as a community? Just think about different ways. eBay, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Have all those different approaches, and you will then saturate your market in a much more effective way. So just to sort of sum it up, so find your niche, be individual, and be distinctive, and you will rise to the top. And invite me to your shops. I want to come looking. Thank you for your time. I hope I haven't rambled on. I hope I've given you some questions and some inspiration, but yeah, I'm very honoured to be here, and thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, wasn't it? I don't think I've ever heard a tale like it. Absolutely brilliant. I think we might actually suggest you come and work around the 55 Acorn shops, if you don't mind. That would be lovely. £57,000. Let's give another clap to that one. That's wonderful. Okay. Now, I'm conscious that time is moving on, but I wonder if there are any questions in the audience for Caroline.
What do your children and what do your family think of what you've done?
So the question was, what do my family and my children think about what I've done? I get asked that actually quite a lot, and without my family support, and my friends as well, I couldn't have done this, that's for sure. You know, I launched into something which was very self-obsessed, and you know, my children keep me very grounded. My eldest daughter is into her own fashion, and she'll give me 5 minutes to take a picture. That was all she would give me, and she'd move on to something else. My other daughter, who's 10, was interested in the numbers, the money, fascinated. And then my son, who's 8, played football. So it was, it was a proper grounding. And you can't do anything like this in isolation. You need your family, you need your friends, and actually you need the support of a really good charity. Yeah.
Caroline, hi. Visually really compelling. I've got to ask, who took the photos?
Well, who took the photos? Complete strangers, my family, my friends, ranking, random, extremely random. And
Professional photographer?
No, nobody professional. Not through the pictures you've seen there.
They're just so incredible.
Thank you. I learned very quickly. A friend of mine is actually the sports photographer, he's the head of sports photography at the Times, and Mark Aspland, who has his own books, and told me I should write a book. So I blame him for that book, for stressing me for the last couple of months. But anyway, he's a sports photographer, and he said to me very early on, he looked at my 7 early pictures and said, do you know what you're doing wrong, which everybody does wrong, when you're pointing a phone at somebody, taking a picture, a camera, you point it at their head. What you should do is tell your photographer to get down low and point the phone up. Hence why not there, but it elongates the body. When you're looking up at me now, I probably look slender and tall. And I get down there, it's a different picture. And so it's little tricks like that. It was knowing about the composition. I'm really interested in the whole composition of the picture. And I thrived on that, actually. I became obsessed with brick wall, patination, garage doors, contrasting colours. My friends thought I was losing the plot at one time. I would actually stop the car if I saw a cornflower blue garage door and I happened to be wearing yellow. I was stopping, that was it. And I'm a bit like that. I've always been creative and artistic, and I think hopefully that's come through. And I'm very proud of the pictures, actually, because they are all taken by very different people, but I think the consistency comes through. So thank you for asking that.
I'd just like to ask, what have you done with all your outfits?
Yes, there were a lot of them. So in November last year, I had a big sale. I sold 75% of the wardrobe. We had a press a press morning, and then we invited the public into my local public hall, and we raised 2,800 for the sale of the clothes. My house was overflowing, bags, really sagging clothes rails. It was a little bit over the top at one point, but they have gone, and that left me with a ridiculous gap because everybody was buying seasonal pieces, and it left me with high summer or random things. So then I had to replenish because I had to get through December. I'm pleased to say that my wardrobe is back up to the max. I'm repopulating constantly. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good. Well, again, thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you.
That was
Very nice
absolutely
to-
wonderful.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, Caroline Jones.